All right, I've been looking forward to this chat for a while. It is I don't do this often, but sometimes I just got to bring on a Colts collector and talk a little bit about Colts cards, shiny cards, all of the above. I've been having a lot of back and forth with today's guest. I'm joined by Paul at JRim9 Collectibles on Instagram, and we're just going to talk about team set collecting, being passionate about a fan base, and everything in
Yeah,
between. But without further ado, Paul, welcome, man. How are you?
yeah, I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me, Brett. Yeah, I mean, I follow you on IG as well, and I listened to your podcast and everything. Really enjoyed it. So I was a bit flattered when you asked me to be on your podcast.
It's really easy. See, you like the exact same types of cards I do, so I figured bring you on and talk about it. But I guess just starting, like, I think. By the way, I think you are the first guest in Stacking Slabs history who's coming from Hawaii. So I got to figure this out. Like,
Really?
how, I think so. I was trying to like rack my
Okay.
brain. How are you a Colts fan in Hawaii? Like, how did this all come to be?
Yeah. So first off, I just want to say, like, being from Hawaii, and I've been told this too. We don't have an NFL team here. It's no NBA team, no baseball team. I try to stick to football on this one, but so you're pretty much free to choose whatever team you want. Yeah, whatever team you choose to pick. So the way I ended up with the Colts was, see, was in the sixth grade, and my dad got us into fantasy football. And in tandem with that, me and my brothers were into video games, and Madden was a big thing at that time. But yeah, through fantasy football, obviously you'd study the players. Peyton Manning was actually in a lot of the magazines that come up. Peyton Manning was actually a good number one pick. He's going to rack up a lot of points for you in fantasy football. So I guess that translated into Madden. I ended up, choosing the Colts. My other brother, was fond with the Rams. He chose the Rams. So that's really, I guess, really nothing special. Yeah, I fell in love with the Colts, the fantasy football, and Madden, and just the competitive nature in our house. My brother was a 49ers fan. Like I said, my other brothers was a Rams fan. My sister and her husband are Steeler fans. So just fantasy football, Madden, and just a combination of the competitiveness in the household that built up, that just made my fandom for the Colts that much greater. That just built over the years.
I love it. So that there's a diversity of fandoms in Hawaii, it sounds like, and you just kind of go with it. When you've been following the Colts since you were a kid, and then you got in, like, when did you marry kind of you had the fantasy football, you had Madden, then you started becoming a fan. When did you start your collecting of Colts stuff?
Oh my God. So here's the kicker, okay? I only got into sports cards last year, if you can
Oh boy,
believe
you're a
that.
newbie. You're doing pretty good for
I'm
yourself.
a total newbie, but I'll say I've schooled myself, made a good friend in the hobby who schooled me on sets. But like I said, back then my fandom for the Colts really grew back in 2000. I had posters on my wall, was gifted some memorabilia, Colts memorabilia. But yeah, I didn't really dive into sports cards till last year, and just going into that, it just got right into the rabbit hole.
So how did you what sucked you into cards then, if you had kind of avoided it up into last year? Like, what was the moment that kind of brought you into the hobby?
Yeah, so I have a interest in Jordan shoes too, because I played basketball when I was in fourth, fifth grade. This was back in the late 90s, going into the early 2000s. So with that, last year I meet this guy who shared a common interest in Jordan sneakers as well. And he was into really deep into sports cards. But somehow through our common interest in Jordan, somehow sports cards got into our conversations. He was a big Kobe collector. Kobe shoe collector as well as cards. And he would end up, I'm sorry, he got me into Kobe cards, Kobe shoes. I'm sorry, I'm messing up my words. He got me into Kobe sneakers. And then he would send me cards of Kobe in the actual sneaker that I actually loved. And that's really how I got into sports cards. I told him I was a Lakers fan, so yeah, he would send me those cards, and then on my own, found myself searching Colts cards on eBay. Let me grab this real quick. I should have mentioned this first. So back when the Pro Bowl used to be in Hawaii,
Yeah.
oh man, so my dad used to bring us to all the festivities leading up into the Pro Bowl. I've even been to the Pro Bowl multiple years, but he ended up getting me these 3 jumbo cards right here. Yeah. And you always see them in my posts. In majority of my posts, you see this in the background. But yeah, flash forward to last year. I'm like, I don't know if you can really see. These
Uh-huh.
cards are a bit discolored. Growing up, I didn't care for them. I left them in the sun. Sun would come through my windows in my room and just bake them. 20 plus years, these were in the sun.
Are those they're jumbo cards, but are they like 99 finest promo cards?
Yeah, these are actually 2001
Oh, one.
finest promo cards. Yeah, I guess they were being sold or given during those Pro Bowl festivities leading into the Pro Bowl game on Sunday. But yeah, my dad gifted these to me. And just last year, I'm like, search on eBay. Maybe I can find these cards, find replacements, grab some that aren't so discolored like that. But then, I end up stumbling on the 2000 finest die cut cards that are serial number to 300. And I'm like, wow, those cards look exactly like these. So I don't know really when it started. When I found those cards, that kind of just sent me into a rabbit hole. And then I ended up not getting replacements for these because of the sentimental value. I'm like, I
Sure.
don't want to place cards I just bought. They don't have any sentimental value. At least these have big time sentimental value for me.
That's amazing. So, okay, so I didn't realize you were like a year in, which makes these questions even more fun to dig into. So, how did you, being a year in and looking at your page and looking at what you collect, how did you maybe avoid like all of the pitfalls that a lot of us go through when we jump back into the hobby and we go buy stuff
Right.
that we think is going up in value that we don't really like, and it just takes a while to get through that phase to end up to collecting our favorite player and team? How did you like get yourself to avoid all of those like missteps and enter in with just like collecting a team that you love?
Yeah. So I want to say the first couple months I got into the hobby because my fandom stretches. I'm a big fan of football. I want to say the first couple months I got into the hobby, I was buying some Jerry Rice Gold Refractors. I bought some Randy Moss Gold Refractors. I didn't really have any direction. Um, then as my time in the hobby grew, I noticed how vast it was. I can't be collecting Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, and like, it's so vast. But yeah, I ended up creating an Instagram through the encouragement of my friend. And that Instagram, I've actually found Carlson Cards. And he, he's been on your podcast as well. I enjoy his podcast as well. But he posted to his story his Peyton Manning Gold Refractor run. And see, I wasn't too familiar with the run. I had, like I had mentioned to you, I had find the 2000 finest ones that are serial number to 300. But then after seeing that Carlson Cards post, that kind of just, I guess, gave me direction right there. I guess then right there, I kind of really stopped looking at Jerry Rice, Randy Moss cards, just other players, and maybe just focus on the Colts right there. And I guess from there on, I've just been in this rabbit hole, just buying as many Colts cards that I can. I see I have connections to them, memories of the players. So yeah.
So I think what's interesting and what like one of the things I wanted to hit on with your collection, like it's kind of amazing because I look at your page and look at the types of cards you want. And I think being a team collector can be so overwhelming because there's so many types of cards, but you are like really, really focused. Like this, I know you like finest. I know you like shiny stuff. So how do you approach kind of like team collecting and not be overwhelmed, but like find that focus in buying the cards that you really love? Like how are you kind of going about your collecting on a regular basis?
Yeah, let me look at my notes real quick. So for that, I've sort of I've narrowed the C by sort of finding what I'm really passionate about. You had an episode on your podcast that was titled, let me see, I had it on my notes that I had made. You had a podcast episode that came out just this past June 18th, and it was titled The Inspiration for Collecting and Spending Time with Your Cards. And I guess that helps, to really see what you're passionate about. And I'm so passionate about finance because of, my connection with these cards right
Mm.
here, and just, that whole finding Carlson cards. So I guess I'm not so easily strayed from going into other sets. So I guess to get back to it, I guess I've just found something that I'm real passionate about. And don't get me wrong, I'm always, I go on IG, I see you with the Prizm golds, and I see everyone posting 90s inserts. And I've actually gone off my lane, and I've dabbed into, yeah, I guess I've gone off my lane, and I've dabbed into those inserts. I picked up a gold vinyl T.Y. Hilton not long ago, but I try not to stray from my lane in the finance department, at least for now. I kind of want to complete that run first. But I guess, yeah, find what you're really passionate about and try to stay in that lane. Because I think collectors are going to enjoy their PCs even more when they have that sort of connection.
No doubt. And I feel like this is often a debate when we're talking about finest. If you were to say, I know you like a lot of different years, but what is your favorite year of finest football and why?
Oh, it's going to be 2006.
That's what I figured based on the volume I
Yeah,
see on your. But what is it about '06 that you love?
it's just the players engulfed in whatever parallel. And it kind of, if you take the '06 against '07, where '07, you've only got that little sliver of gold on that right side versus '06, it's pretty much the whole card. Yeah, and coupled with the fact that you got that serial number to 10 gold XFractor, which I think the popularity in that is just, it's growing a lot more now. I don't know if because it's people are posting those cards more, or
I think
finance
I
is
think
finding its steam.
I think people are beginning to realize, like, in that era. Well, first of all, like, do you have any of those, by the way, the '06 Gold X-Fractors?
I do not.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
only have. It's because I can't find any for sale.
exactly.
And go
But
ahead. I'm sorry.
no, they're amazing cards, and they're beautiful in hand, but then they're out of 10. And I like my theory is just think people are beginning to realize, like, between 2000 and 2010, like how there's not a lot of 10 or lower parallels. And so like when those do pop up and they're of your players, like I feel like the demand is growing. So they're harder and harder to get. And that's just
Right.
kind of my theory. But yeah, they're beautiful cards. I know you've done a lot of like, I see your DeFreeney and your Reggie Wayne. You'll collect like you'll try to get as many of the parallels out of '06 finest as possible and take them
Right.
all in one shot. Do you enjoy kind of doing trying to build the rainbows of each of the players you like?
I do. Yes, I do. And I want to mention that So it can get overwhelming, with all like finest. For me, finest starts in 1999 for me and probably ends at 2015. So obviously there's a lot of runs. So I've made a tier system within my Colts PC, and it helps that the higher numbered serial numbered cards aren't so pricey at all. If you got that 299, that serial number to 399, those are all well within, I would say, anyone's budget.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna come to a point where you're gonna need those, 249s, those 210s to complete these runs. I guess, yeah, I've made a tier system to keep me from getting overwhelmed. And now that I've acquired so many within the short amount of time, it's not so overwhelming. Now, I'm kind of left just needing those 210 XFractors and some of those '05 serial number 249 for some of these players. And I'm thinking '02 is going to be the hardest to acquire. But like I said, I'm left needing only those, I guess, highly sought after parallels. So now I'm able to, I guess, dab into other sets. But at the same time, I kind of feel like I should be putting funds away because, if let's say a 2002 finest Peyton Manning Gold Refractor or XFractor pops up, I'm most likely going to be overwhelmed. I can only imagine what it's going to go for and how much competition.
So let's talk about O2 because I've talked about this in my content, but just remembering like when the O2 Marvin XFractor
Oh,
and
yeah.
and the gold, and luckily like I had a gold, so it wasn't so painful. But then I looked at that XFractor and I was like, you know what? I remember like it was a Saturday, I believe it ended, and
Yes.
I remember being my wife and my kids were like my mom, we were trying to get out of the house to go to dinner. I was like, it was like 15 minutes away from the auction. And I was like, hey, can we just, I know this is tough, but can we just wait? Like, I want to be here. And I remember like putting in a crazy bid. And I just like stunned when I didn't get it. I was like, I can't believe someone outbid me because of what I bid on it. And then come to find out, like, I can't remember if it was a story post from you or somehow I realized you were the winner. And it legitimately, it made me feel a lot better that like I lost to another like Colts collector who likes the same stuff as me. But like, I got to ask first, like, you've got the card. Is the card? Talk to me. Is it worth it? Are you happy you ended up getting it? Talk to me about that card specifically.
Oh, man, I love the card. Just it's my first '02 finest XFractor card actually, and just the shine dance on that card. I gotta say, I felt bad when I found out you were the underbidder. But
I almost felt bad because I made you pay it for whatever you had to pay for it.
I guess that's the nature of the game when two collectors go at it. And it did exactly. I wasn't expecting to pay that much, but like I had put away funds specifically for that. And just going back to that, the Gold Refractor ended, I want to say minutes before the XFractor ended.
I think the XFractor ended first and the gold ended after it. Do I have that right or am I wrong?
Oh, I could be wrong, but in any case, I wasn't able to be present to bid on that '02. So I actually had my brother who lives on a neighbor island jump on my eBay account and I gave him directions. I'm like, hey bro, I'm not gonna be able to be present for this auction because I'm stuck at work. So yeah, he was able to bid for me, and that's how that went. I'm so stoked with the card.
Yes.
I couldn't be happier having it in my PC, being a big Colts fan. And it was real intentional. It was to complete a Marvin Harrison. It's just a card that it's another piece of the puzzle for these finest runs. And I'm not so much counting these super fractors, the one of ones, those are, you just never see them. I'm kind of, for my finest runs, I've set, actually the base set parallels, the gold refractors, obviously, and then the XFractors. So that XFractor Marvin Harrison was something I needed.
I think it's and I think it's fun, like when people realize the rarity and scarcity around a card. It's a parallel you love, and then like aesthetically, like you mentioned, it dances, it does dance, and it's like, if you rewind the tape, like maybe 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, even, like, I can't imagine that card would have ended what it ended for. But the fact is like, you had two collectors in that moment who both not only appreciated Harrison, not only appreciated Finest, not only appreciated XFractors, but like you mentioned piece of the puzzle. It's like, I viewed that. I wanted that card because I had the Peyton XFractor and I had the Marvin Gold. And, at some day, right, eventually I'll get the Marvin XFractor and I'll get a Peyton Gold.
Yes.
Those are the two missing pieces. And then I'll connect them. But it's like, I feel like cards go up in value when people aren't trying to just grab them to go resell them, but when people just need them because it feels like they're a key piece in a puzzle that you're building.
Right. And then I want to mention, you had another episode, your auction talk with Nick. You guys mentioned, get the card and kind of stash it away. I'm sort of doing that because, I have a big fandom with the Colts. It's not like I'm going to go and put the card on sale anytime soon. It's basically the card's getting out, not making you feel sad or anything.
No. Yeah, hey, if you do end up wanting to sell it, you know who to hit up first.
I promise I'll come to you first. But yeah, those cards are probably most likely gonna be stashed away for years on end, and I'm gonna continue to enjoy the card, hopefully, like how I'm enjoying it now.
Do you view yourself as like a team collector, or do you view yourself more as like a specific product collector who happens to collect Colt stuff? Like, how do you view what you're doing?
Excuse me. So I guess I view myself more as a team set collector. If you go on my page, I actually have other just say my big three guys right off the bat are going to be Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, and Agent James. I have finest cards of those three players, but then I've dabbed into some inserts, some 90s inserts for both of them. Let's see, I've gotten into Bowman Chrome, gotten into Topps Chrome. So with that said, yeah, I would define myself more of a team collector. Now,
Go ahead.
how would you define team set collecting? Would someone have to collect players in their fandom that they're not so fond of? Like I picked up a 2004 serial number to 5 Jim Sorgi card, and he's nowhere to be found in the. I mean, he is. It's probably a little dot. I don't want to badmouth him. He's probably a little dot in the Colts fandom, but he still counts because he played for the Colts.
Dude, this is such a good topic, and I think I would say if you're building out a team set and Sorgi's involved with it, like, that makes complete sense just because he was Peyton's backup for so long.
Right.
I get asked the question all the time based on team set stuff I'm doing, and I just got it the other day. It's like, are you including rookies? Because sometimes, right, the rookies don't pan out, maybe are on the team, they're hardly, maybe they never really saw the field, or maybe like on the other end, the rookie cards are so expensive, like Anthony Richardson right now, so you don't
God.
even
Yeah.
you don't even pursue them. And I don't know, I think it's just in that moment and in that set, it's how you want to approach it. If I have a project that is like a team set or run, typically like 2012 Prizm Golds are an example. Like, dude, I would do some stupid stuff for a Kobe Fleener Gold Prizm rookie right now. And it's Kobe Fleener. Like, he was okay. He played with luck in college, but it's like, that card I need. So it's like, I just feel like I need it. So I think it just varies by what you're building, what you're collecting, and it's kind of your own rules.
Right. Yeah, you've mentioned more than once that the collector is a CEO of your own PC. I mean, you define your PC, and hopefully your PC is filled with cards you're passionate about. Maybe some more passionate than others. See, I'm obviously going to be more passionate about Peyton Manning versus Jim Sergi. I've probably only got two or three Jim Sergi cards versus Manning. I've got I don't know, well over three digits.
Yeah. I'll maybe some group therapy here, a Colts therapy, like um just in today, right? Like today's Colts, you kind of laughed when I mentioned it, but we've got a quarterback on our hands that
Yes.
obviously got hurt last year, but my goodness, like I don't know how you feel, but when I watched him, he overexceeded all of my expectations in that short. I mean, you just saw flashes of brilliance, and I think he's
Oh
got
yeah.
Shane Steichen paired with him, and it just seems like a match made in heaven. He only played 2 snaps last season with Jonathan Taylor, so you've got all that going into this season, but as collectors, like we want to express our fandom in our new quarterback, but you look at the prices of his cards and it's like, this is insane. So for me, I've kind of had to block it out. How have you managed like the Anthony Richardson of it all?
Oh man, I've had to have I've blocked it out myself because I would be lying if I said I've never searched Anthony Richards on the eBay machine. And I guess to help with that, I haven't made saved searches with Anthony Richardson. It's so insane right now, and I kind me being new to the hobby, I can kind of see how that hype train starts. It's kind of like stocks almost, right? They're kind of projecting Anthony Richardson to be the successful quarterback, and I'm hoping he does. At the same time, if he doesn't be a successful, those cards are gonna shoot right down in price. Trust me, I'd rather see them go up. We're probably gonna have to spend some money
Well,
on some Anthony Richardson cards.
the crazy part about it is I feel like even if he does do what we want him to, and like, let's say takes the Colts to the playoffs, has a great year, exciting, has another great year, is winning. I feel like if we just are patient and wait like 3 years, there'll eventually be somebody else that everyone's going to go run to that's younger, that maybe at some point down the road, even if he is successful, we can get the cards for a percentage of what they're going for at this point when there's so much unknown and everyone's trying to
Right.
take advantage of that.
I guess just kind of educate yourself and know the game that is sports cards. And
Yes.
I can wait on Anthony Richardson, but don't get me wrong, I want some Anthony Richardson cards in my PC. I want to express how much I'm looking forward to this next season with him at the helm.
What is your what do you how do you feel about like the team going into next year? Like, are you optimistic? Are you not? Like, what are your thoughts just going into next season?
Yeah, I'm really optimistic. Obviously, with Anthony Richardson coming back, and then we've still got Jonathan Taylor, we've got Pittman as the receivers, we've got all these young receivers coming up, and I guess I can kind of see shades of how the Colts have always had this potent offense, even with Luck connecting with Hilton. Me and you have chatted about those two, and I guess I can see that with Richardson and his receivers, and we've got that running back, kind of reminds me of Agent James, sort of different style in running, but you can kind of see where I'm getting. We have a good quarterback, good running back, good receivers, and then for the defense, I'm actually really fond of DeForest, him having Hawaii ties.
Yeah.
I always give my brother crap about him. My brother's a 49er fan. I'm like, he came to he's on a real team now.
Oh, this is the best one. I know there's a lot of 49ers fans listening, so it's a great way to isolate your audience. Say, hey, we got DeForest Buckner and you don't. But he's been that guy, like I feel like he's still, for as good as he is, he's still so underappreciated. Like, he is one of those guys that each and every year is just, and this year I have started to collect him. I'm like, man, this guy is he's been so fun to watch. Like, I want to represent DeForest Buckner in my collection just because he's just been one of the guys in this era. So he's been a blast. And I think I think he's been kind of one of the best Colts There's been a lot of good defenders, but I would classify him as one of the better defenders we've ever had.
Yeah, I would so too. He's so enthusiastic about the game. Looks like he just brings everyone up. But yeah, I've always, when it comes to defense, I've always been so fond of the D line. Like I said, we were into Madden, and I'd always highlight the D line. I'm always on a D line guy, and I'd let the AI take care of the corners, the safeties. Well, we had Freeney back then, and you'd never see me switch off Freeney. Something about the pass rushing and just being able to just lay a good hit on the quarterback.
Oh man, it was a fun time with the bookends and Freeney and Mathis. Maybe like as we're getting kind of rounding the corner on this conversation, I've had a ton of fun chatting. I didn't realize you've been doing this for a year. I think that's worthy of note. And you've built a collection that is super cool, and appreciate it, and always like your posts. What kind of advice would you maybe give the audience from your experience, just in terms of like, if people want to get into this team set collecting, like what sort of advice would you share just based on your experience?
Like I said, I mean, when you get into the hobby as a nuclear, they're probably going to be overwhelmed. So, especially if you're a fan of multiple sports, I just find what you're really passionate about, make a tier list within your fandom, and sort of stay in your lane in terms of like the set you've chosen to go after. Stay in the lane of your fandom. Try to limit yourself, sort of dipping into other fandoms you might have. Just find what you're really passionate about. Also, when you do get in it, you're gonna want to have some kind of record you can reference to in terms of how the progress of your PC. There's been so many times when I've been away from home, I'm not, by my collection, a card pops up, and this usually happens to the higher serial numbered cards, where I'll question myself, did I already buy this? And I've bought multiple cards because I thought I never had them yet. I learned right away you want to make a list. Just, if a card pops up, you can check your list if you already have it. Obviously, this is not going to happen with like those serial number to 20 or serial number to 10 cards, but those cards serial number to 399 or just higher serial number cards, the collector might forget they already purchased it. And I'd say that can happen when you're team set collecting. And the runs you set for yourself are so big within your fandom.
I love it. This was a ton of fun. We'll have to do this again. I know there's so many different topics to go down. We're gonna have to get you out of Hawaii and hit Indianapolis and head to Lucas Oil for a game or two. Yeah. We've got an exciting year ahead, and I love to hear that we've got support going all the way from Hawaii. But Paul, man, it's been fun to catch up. I always enjoy interactions. I look forward to chatting with you again, but thanks so much for the time.
Yes, Brad. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I've enjoyed chatting with you. Two big Colts fans here. I feel like I could just talk to you for hours on end right now. You get into new topics, but you've got your family to take care of and everything, so I don't want to keep you.
All right, we'll do this again. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, thank you, Rhett.